I wish I could play it again for the very first time. This is a sentiment that a lot of people share when they're discussing their favorite games of all time, but it's one that I've actually never really agreed with. One of my favorite things to do is replay my favorite games. I love learning all the little tricks and secrets, the best ways to progress, things you might not know on your first playthrough unless you're looking up like a guide or a walkthrough, which I usually never do for first playthroughs. I also just love noticing smaller details in the story, music, and visuals. I love being in my favorite digital places again. Video games are kinda like vacations to me, but instead of having to spend thousands of dollars on plane tickets and hotel rooms, I can just pop in a game I love and be transported back to those special places. But the truth is, most people don't even beat their games, so there's an even smaller group of people who take time out of their busy schedules to replay games. I think I'm getting to the point in my life where instead of taking the financial and time risk that comes with trying a new game, I'd rather play something that I already know I love. And a lot of people get this way specifically with music. People spend their late teens and all throughout their 20s discovering new music, new albums, new songs to love. And then typically once somebody gets older, they kind of just keep replaying those albums and songs that they already know that they enjoy. I am becoming like that with games, but I do try to keep myself in check where I like to have a healthy balance of new experiences and familiar experiences. But no matter what, I am always gonna love replaying my favorite games. I even wrote a small piece on it a couple of months ago, link in the description. But there is a certain risk that can come with replaying a game. Sometimes the exciting feeling of playing something new can blind you to a game's issues. I did a Zelda replay marathon a couple of years ago, and I couldn't help but notice some things that really bothered me in two of my favorite Zelda games, Wind Waker and Majora's Mask. Wind Waker's pacing goes to shit in the second half, and Tetra's story feels abruptly cut off. Majora's Mask only has 4 main dungeons, and the first 2 are over before you even know it. I hate Beneath the Well, and it's one of those games where if you forget a single step, you feel like you're running in circles trying to figure it out. Am I in the wrong place? Am I on the wrong day? Majora's Mask is a really rewarding game when you do know all the steps, but when you don't, it can be kind of frustrating. It's a crappy feeling to have, right? To have your blind love of a game slowly wash away, and you have to go face to face with the flaws that you didn't really see the first time. Of course, it's important to note that no video game is perfect except maybe something like Tetris, something very, very simple, but no video game is perfect. Every video game has flaws. That's the beauty of art, human-made art. And once you come face to face with those flaws, if you still love the game, if you can still accept the game and still want to play it over and over again, that's how you know you truly love the game. Unfortunately, I had an experience a couple of months ago with 2 games in particular that were once in my top 25, and when I replayed them, I was kinda like, and they both slipped out of my top 25. This year is the 20th anniversary of Shadow of the Colossus, so me and my good friend decided to meet up early in the morning one day, lock in, and play through the entire game over the span of one day. We took a break halfway through, went to get some pizzas, discussed the story and the gameplay, then we went back to my house, locked right back in, and beat the game as the sun was setting. It was a great time, it was a great memory, and I was happy to do it. I even recorded a bunch of gameplay in preparation to make a 20th anniversary video on it. But as we made our way through Shadow of the Colossus, I realized that I just didn't love it the way I used to. And it wasn't my first replay. I've actually replayed Shadow of the Colossus about 6 times now, so maybe it's my fault that I just keep playing it over and over again, and of course I'm gonna love it a little bit less, but to be fair, I am taking years in between my replays. It's not like I'm playing it over and over and over again, back to back. It just feels like every time I replay Shadow of the Colossus, some of that magic gets lost. The first time you play it, it's like this overwhelming sensory experience. The opening cinematic is this long, gorgeous piece with stunning music, stunning cinematography, and a perfect execution. You have no idea what's going on, but you're curious as hell. And every time you get back to the main temple, you're so excited for that next boss battle. You wonder what it's gonna look like and what this fight is gonna require out of you. But the Colossi aren't boss battles in a traditional sense, where it's a true test of your skill and mastery of the mechanics. They're more like puzzles, but they're puzzles with only 1 or 2 steps. So once you know the trick, the fight is over in a blink of an eye. For the majority of our playthrough, my friend and I swapped the controller after every colossi, and it was actually really interesting to watch a first-time player navigate the bosses. He was slightly fumbling with the cumbersome controls, trying to figure out what clues the environment or the boss's behavior had to tell him. The super tense orchestral music was making things feel more threatening. And then when he passed me the controller, I was destroying these bosses in like 5 seconds. Because again, they're in this weird halfway point between a puzzle and a boss. They lean more towards the puzzle side with 1 or 2 quick, easy steps. I think part of the reason I've actually grown to prefer Team Ico's other 2 games is because you actually get to be in these locations for a little while. I'll never forget the stained glass wind chimes in The Last Guardian, or the outside area with that giant rusty swinging cage in Ico, because I actually got to marinate in them for a while. These locations aren't just set pieces, they are actual things that you have to interact with, absorb, and think about. And in Shadow of the Colossus, you're either too busy with a boss to really notice these locations, or you're just riding through aggro really fast. Don't get me wrong, I'll always love and appreciate Shadow of the Colossus. It is an art piece that pushes the soul of the medium of video games forward, but I really do think my first time with this game was the best. Earlier this year, I decided to replay 2 of my favorite JRPGs, Earthbound and Mother 3. I always ranked Mother 3 over Earthbound, specifically for its story, characters, and themes, but after my replays of both games, I realized that Earthbound itself still has strong themes, strong characters, and a strong story without sacrificing its gameplay. I feel like Earthbound wears its identity as a parody of games like Dragon Quest proudly on its sleeve. It's a very grindy RPG with tons of battles and skills for you to learn. It's one of the very few JRPGs where you're actually gonna need to get to level 90 or higher to beat it, but with Mother 3, things feel a bit leaner on the gameplay side of things. You actually don't get a full party until 6 or 7 hours in, and then they're briefly taken away from you for like another hour. And then when you finally get them back for good and the ball starts rolling, the game is rushing to end. Earthbound feels like, hey, here's a weird RPG to get lost in, go have fun playing it and find whatever bits of dialogue, story, themes, or mechanics stick with you. Mother 3 feels a bit more guided and restricted. It feels a bit more like, hey, this time we're gonna show you what's gonna stick with you. All of the games I've mentioned in this video, I still love them with all of my heart, but I'd be lying if I said I didn't look at them a little differently. For my fellow Seinfeld fans out there, it's like the episode with the red dot on the cashmere sweater. You won't see it at first, and you will love that sweater so much, but once you see it, you can't unsee it. I've seen some people say that certain games were so beautiful or moving to them that they actually don't want to ever replay them. They want to leave those memories of playing the game for the first time as these special, magical, ephemeral feelings. And I really respect that, and I feel like I have to get better at that myself. Maybe what I loved so much about certain games isn't necessarily the game itself, but the feeling of being pulled into something new and exciting. Because in real life, new experiences aren't always exciting. They can be scary, they can make us anxious. But with games, once you find one that you find genuinely fun or interesting, that new feeling is so special. So while I do love replaying my favorite games, there is a risk to it. Thank you so much for watching my video. I hope you have a great day. I'll see you in the next one.